Ladies and gentlemen, we're back, and I'll tell you what, Bomber's looking to try to find a 3-0 to close things out versus a very strong Liquid Taeja, but Liquid Taeja, we just took him up to life support. He's staying alive. He's still breathing over there. He's going to try to win this game and come out of it, and we're here on Cloud Kingdom. I'm going to find out if these guys are ready, but what do you think about this map as we prepare to go into it?
This is a map that I think favors the style Bomber's been showing because there's so many drop angles. Cloud Kingdom, we've seen so many Terrans win games by threatening to drop into the third or the main and then striking the other one, because you can, from the back angle behind the third, you can hit other base so easily. And Bomber's been so effective with that draw play in game 2, and then with the Banshee play in game 1, which is kind of similar. It's an air unit basically. I feel like Taeja needs to take this into account, maybe try to do some counter harass of his own, perhaps. Oh, I mean, he had the Vikings with the air control last game, but Bomber was still so nimble with his medevacs.
Yeah, you're right.
One of the things is he just never even took damage. Like, the Viking got one shot off and he's instantly out of there. Very, very on top of all of his micro.
And we're going in. The countdown has begun. Cloud Kingdom is the map. Obviously a map that these guys are very, very familiar with. And, you know, based off of what you said, this map kind of playing into the hands of Bomber, that means the first thing I'm really going to be looking at is whether or not we see that early gas from Bomber. And then also, is Taeja finally going to say to himself, you know, that's 2 games in a row. I know that early gas tech has come out for Bomber. What do I need to do in order to try to combat that? So I know these guys want us to introduce the players in southwest position as the Red Terran. He could win this and walk away the victor into the round of 8. It's Bomber. Incredibly focused and ready to go. Of course, in the northeast position as the blue Terran. He needs to win this to stay alive, Axslav. It's Liquid Taeja.
He does need to win this, but Taeja he's won so many events before. He's no stranger being down in series either.
You're right.
Definitely capable of coming back. It's not like, oh, he's getting stomped here. The last game was so close until it's that one little hole in his defenses, and man, that was such a clever attack by Bomber there. He moved into the center tower range from an angle where Taeja thought he would strike at the front. And then Taeja sends his units down the ramp. Bomber just picks everything up, shoots it right into the main. And he's, I mean, even though the mines did a lot of damage, but he was able to get his tanks sieged up before Taeja could get into position.
Right.
And yeah, charging sieged up tanks is such a difficult task in any matchup, but particularly TVT because units are so fragile.
Well, we do not see Bomber. Well, okay, Bomber delays his gas this time by 2 additional SCVs. Gas is not necessarily going to be finishing up even around the time of this this barracks finishing up, but over on Taeja's side, he skips the racks altogether, immediately throws down that CC, which is something we do see on Cloud Kingdom quite a bit. But, you know, Bomber, I'm not sure how he's going to offset this a bit, but I guess you could say he will be still going for that early gas tech.
He will, and again, queuing up 2 Marines, so no super fast reactor type play like we saw out of Josh in some of those games. I do think because of the time of his gas, he'll most likely go for that command center before the factory in this case. So what he's going to have is he's going to have a later command center in Taeja, but he's still going to have the faster tech. Taeja's getting 2 barracks before adding anything else. So again, it's similar to game 1, going very Marine heavy. 2 barracks is a little more common with the command center first, although sometimes players still like to just get the 1 barracks and double gas and just go crazy with the tech, even with that early expansion opening. There goes the command center from Bomber, followed by the reactor, and Taeja hasn't been able to get into Bomber's base. So
yep.
I mean, if he had to guess, he would probably guess that Bomber's doing something similar to what he did the last 2 games. Whereas this game, it's actually a little different. The factory is significantly later. It's still going to be there, but it's a little bit later, and the command center is much earlier.
Yeah, and not getting that vision, of course, putting the CC in the main base and completely denying his opponent makes him guess. And right now, Taeja, the last thing he wants to be doing is guessing. Just going off of the last 2 games, while an intelligent thing to do, a smart player like Bomber is going to say, well, if I deny you vision, then you're going to have no idea what I'm doing, and that's the perfect time to switch it up. It can also be the perfect time to go with what is tried and true and has worked in the last 2 games. But with a little bit of delay here, Bomber's going to set himself up for something still strong, but a little different.
I like this. He can go straight to that starport. It looks like he has SCV's idle there, straight for the starport. So it's going to be drop play again. We see Widowmines coming out and Marine, so not switching the factory over to the reactor quite yet. Very similar to game 1, very Marine heavy.
Right.
And then Widowmines. I wonder if he's going to go for that tank again. You know, as soon as he gets a few Widowmines, go straight for that siege tank to siege in front of Taeja's base because, again, Taeja's factory is just started. There's a good chance he won't have his own defensive tanks in place yet.
Yeah, I would say that would be perfectly fine follow-up to whatever he decides to do for this early aggression. We do see the first mine. Is it out yet? I thought one had already come out. Nope, that first one's still on its way.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. There should have been one down already.
No, there is one.
It's in his main.
It's
just a purely defensive measure.
Right.
Does he know? Okay, so he doesn't actually know how Taeja opened because he never scouted this game. So that's why he has the mine back there because, you know, Taeja could have been going Banshee, could have been going fast drop. So why not, you know, if you have an idle mine, throw it in the back there until you realize what's happening. But then he scanned Taeja's base, saw the factory timing, and that factory timing told him, okay, he expanded. I don't need that mine back there. Let's throw him into medevac, send that across the map, and try to do some damage.
See what happens. Now, Taeja did sneak a single Marine in, if you look at this vision, and he saw the CC, which is odd because it doesn't show it there, but it hadn't landed yet. So, is that how that works? If it's in the air,
if
right?
it's in the air, it'll be like seeing a unit where you won't actually keep seeing it in that fog of war. Medevac comes in, one Widowmine goes behind the natural. That's going to take out at least one SCV. The lane attack, trying to get the hurt one as well, but only taking out one. Another mine on top of the ramp. Shoots the opposing mine, but can't quite. That was interesting. So
that was.
Widowmines, because wait, was that a direct hit?
It was.
But it should have killed it then.
You're right.
How was Taeja's? I guess Widowmines only take. Oh, you know what? Because it burrowed while the shot was in midair. So the shot
it mitigated some of the damage,
yeah, just did the splash damage instead of the full.
Ah, right.
Yeah, so because Widowmines do 40 in splash, but they do 135 in full.
Oh, medevac doesn't quite go down, but shakes violently, and Bomber is forcing Taeja.
Taeja's got a scan.
Use scans, yeah.
And there's still the Widowmine behind the natural has already killed it. Has got another volley off, and he doesn't have no scans to get rid of both of them. He gets rid of the one in his main. But there's another one in the medevac shortly to unload. The one in the natural is about to go off again.
And he's going to drop another one in the back of the main. He does get it down. There it is. Kills the Marine right on top of it. Bomber.
This harass is just so frustrating.
It is. Another SCV does go down. And there's the scan to get rid of that one. But guess what? You need another 50 energy to get rid of this one in the main. And I don't see that starport switching over to a tech lab, unfortunately, but a reactor. That means those scans until he starts dropping the, starts dropping a missile turret, but I don't see him in sight. So
it's one of those situations where there's just no cost-efficient way to deal with it, unless you already have a Raven. Now, I think at this point he's like, well, there's no point getting a Raven because I'll probably have cleared him up by the time that would come out. But Bomber's being so effective with this, and then behind us, of course, now he's starting his tank production. He's got 4 barracks up, a 5th one on the way. Taeja has 5 barracks as well, though. So Taeja, a second factory going in for Taeja.
Yeah, and you know what? I just want to comment on how badass Taeja is. He was actually sending over a Marine in sync with the timing to that Widow mine. So that the Widow mine, if of course not paid attention to by Bomber, would just kill the Marine. He finally had to scan to get rid of it, but he completely mitigated any sort of damage that could have happened to the mineral line. That's nice defense by Taeja.
It is. We talk about how effective this Widow mine harasses, but Taeja's dealt with it so well. He's actually got the supply advantage currently. He's got double factories, so he can produce twice as many siege tanks as his opponent. He's got medevac tech up. He's in a great position this game. I mean, I guess the one thing is he doesn't have the double E-base or the armory on the way. So as the game goes on, Bomber will probably get an upgrade advantage. But Taeja has his own edges as well. He'll have the tank advantage as the game goes on.
Oh, that!
Did Taeja see it?
You know what? He saw the heat coming out of the back of those medevac's burners, but I don't know if that translated to him actually seeing it on the screen. You know, we see it, but yes, look at this reaction. We do see Taeja moving his entire army over, but he's going to the 3rd. He's got plenty of medevacs to pick up, but he could afterburner in and do a lot of damage here in the main. Oh, There is a single. Bam!
Oh, it targets the full life Medivac, so not able to quite take aim, but damaging him significantly. The Marines are now chomping up the SCVs, but Taeja does have a siege tank here and some Marines. He should be, if he loses the eBay though before the upgrade finishes, that would be so critical.
Oh, it's got 76 points of health. It's given it an opportunity to get repaired. Taeja needs to repair it. Oh my God, it's down to 46.
That might burn down. I mean, at least he finished that armor upgrade.
Oh, he did. Oh, he did.
It was about 5 seconds from done. So
oh,
now he's repairing, so he can continue up that tree. Bomber, though, working on 2-2. His medevacs may be stuck. Nope, they're not stuck. They're just going to jet out of there.
Psych.
What am I thinking? Medevacs getting stuck in the heart of the storm.
That's ludicrous. All right, so he does manage to get out of there. Taeja responded well to that. The damage was done mostly SCVs in that. 13 have gone down in the hands of Bomber. Now Bomber's setting himself up. What's the tank count looking like? 4 across the board. And Marines about even as well. 1-1 on both sides, but it's 2-2 that's going to be finishing soon for Bomber.
Oh, Taeja making a big move down here. Bomber's Marines who are still in the medevacs trying to unload them. The tanks are on siege. And Taeja cleans up Bomber's force before the upgrade's complete. And Bomber had to get some. Bomber's been on 2 bases, right? Taeja's third is up now, so Bomber was looking to get some damage done there, but Taeja caught his army before it was set up and just decimated it. Oh, that was such a great play for Taeja there. The tank's not sieged up. It could happen yet again. Bomber moving out. He has to take a defensive position here. He cannot let the same thing happen twice. Tank's still not sieged up. He's just outside. Right now, Taeja has 4 tanks with, I believe, more incoming, and he's going to be prepping for the defense of this. Taeja's trying to get a little bit of the siege position in here. I don't think he'll go into those siege tank lines. Taeja's actually making a move for it. I feel like it's a mistake. A great cockade by Bomber, and he's cleaning Taeja up. Wow, I mean, how quickly the tables can flip and turn as all of the siege tanks are gone, and, you know, he allowed Bomber to set up perfectly at the top of his ramp. 2 siege tanks. I love the fact that he's trying to contain him, but I don't think he had to go in. If he would have just set the containment there, back at the watchtower, and then dropped, that probably would have put him in a much better position. But man, Bomber, he's like, okay, I'll take it, right? I mean, that was the Bomber was 2-2. Taeja had no combat shields actually during that battle either, so the Marines were slaughtered, and now Bomber's looking to strike again while he still has upgrade advantage. Dropping here, but Taeja's Marines are all over it. No, he's going straight to the main. Uh-oh, and if he gets some tank siege up there, oh my God, GG! Wow, how can a game turn like that? I can't even believe it. Bomber takes it 3-0. Even he, just the look on his face, like, I don't think he can believe it. That game, Taeja should have won that game. He was up an entire base and about 15 food, and just the one mistake going up that ramp, and it turns the game. StarCraft is just a dynamic game. Now, for anyone who's asking, why did he GG? I mean, let's like theory craft this the remainder of this game out, right? The siege, there was at least 3 siege tanks in there, as far as I know. All the Marines, everything was in the natural. A drop in a siege would have just laid waste to anything that would have tried to go up his own ramp. So I'm pretty sure. And all his production too. It was all camp. Anything he makes. Exactly. It was not good. And I mean, what an amazing response. Bomber didn't panic. He, he spread himself out at the top of his ramp. Still feel it was a big mistake by Taeja to not spread out the watchtower and attempt to drop. But now, final thoughts, axslav? I mean, Bomber, we notice every single game is how decisive he is with his army. So many players, like, how many players would be afraid to load up their entire army into medevacs, fly through your opponent's basically army, and get into their main? Now, it's such a risky move, but Bomber, he scanned, he knew the Marines were off a little bit, so he could move on the side of them, and just, he sees the opportunity, and that's what it takes to be a good general in war, and a great StarCraft player. You gotta be an opportunist. Yeah, you do. Bomber, though, takes it. Unfortunately, Liquid Taeja is eliminated. That means Team Liquid now out of the MLG Winter Championship. Bomber continues on into the round of 8, and we do have the next game coming up, and it is going to be Killer versus Last. killer, or one of the last non-Koreans left in a tournament. In fact, actually, he is the last non-Korean left in this tournament.
He is the last non-Korean.
Yeah,
he
so
did look good today versus Thorzane, but, you know, Last is certainly showed his true colors here.